I used to be in around £43,000 worth of debt, and these are the 9 habits that helped me turn my life around. First one was creating a budget and having a weekly budget check-in. I would create a very basic spreadsheet and start to track all my expenses, start to group them into kind of needs and wants, and then stuff that I was spending money on kind of willy-nilly, and that allowed me to keep control of it. And then also checked in, like I said, on a weekly basis just to make sure I was tracking where I should have been and cut out any expenses that I didn't need. On top of that, number 2 was tracking every single penny. Now, I mean every single penny. If my insurance payment was £25.79, even the 79 pence got put in that column, so I knew exactly where every penny was going. And I still do that to this day. Sometimes it can be a bit more relaxed and kind of round stuff up and down, but I like to know where every single penny is, and I still like to account for every penny. Third one was learning to say no, not only to myself when I was trying to buy things that I didn't need, but also to others. If somebody wanted to book a holiday or go out and I know I couldn't afford it, I started to say no. And that was the most difficult thing, really, because I got into trouble in my earlier days and kind of my early 20s by just doing things and going on nights out 2 or 3 times a week, going on holidays I couldn't afford and buying things that I genuinely didn't need. And so learning to say no to both myself and to others because I couldn't afford it was kind of eye-opening for me. Number 4 was creating sinking funds for irregular expenses. So you know yourself, if you run a car, you know you've got to pay for an MOT and probably a service at some point, and you know that's come in every year. And so rather than let that hit you in the payday of the month in which it occurs, save up for that throughout the year. So if you look back and last year you spent £500 or £600 on your MOT, tyres or what have you, then try and put £50 a month over the kind of next 12 months so that when that comes around, the relief of being able to just move that out of that sinking fund, which is basically just another name for a pot or a savings pot, and move that out to pay for it is huge. Like not having to put it on a credit card, an overdraft, or be really skint on the month that it happens is great. So I have sinking funds for cars, sinking funds for holidays, and sinking funds for gifts. Fifth thing was using my salary sacrifice pension at my workplace. So in most of my employment throughout the years, I've had the option of a salary sacrifice pension scheme, and up until my early 30s I kind of ignored that, which was very, very silly. And so now I always, no matter what, put the bare minimum at least. So no matter where I'm working, no matter what my salary or my personal finances, I make sure that I put in the least. So in the UK at the moment, the legal minimum is you can still opt out, but the legal minimum is 5% for the employee and 3% for the employer, meaning 8% of your total pension or your total salary can go into your pension each year. Now you can put in more, and some really good employers will put in even more. Some employers I've worked at, I could put in 8% and they would put in about 14, and I wasn't making the most of that, which was absolutely foolish. And an additional benefit of salary sacrifice pensions are you save on national insurance as well as tax, and it reduces your salary in the eyes of HMRC for things like childcare, child benefit and stuff like that. So it is worth looking into. Number 6 was delaying big purchases. Now, if I want to buy something big, I need to have the money in my account to actually pay for it. I won't do buy now, pay later. And that's the sort of thing that gets you into trouble, because if you can't afford to pay for it all up front, you can't really afford to pay for it. Just wait an additional 2 months if you need to save it, or split it over 3. I've never really understood that and why I got into it, but it's really, really prevalent now. So if I can't afford to buy something, I won't. I'll wait. Number 7 was starting to read books about finance. I wish somebody had handed me a couple of the finance books that I've read over the years. I've read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, How to Own the World, and The Psychology of Money. And those 3 books themselves are enough for most people to get a really good handle on how money works, how you should invest and that sort of thing. And I only wish that a parent or something had handed them to me when I was old enough, and that is what I plan to do with my kids. Number 8 is automating your transfers for payday. So I actually don't do this as much anymore, but when I needed to and I was in a poor financial situation, I made sure I had standing orders kind of out of my main account into a spending account, into my sinking fund. I tend to do that manually now because I kind of enjoy the process and moving stuff around, but I still do that early morning on payday and start to move money around. I open up my spreadsheet, see where money needs to go, and I put it there. And it takes about 5-10 minutes, but you can automate it. And if you do things like savings or investments, that is good to automate to make sure you're paying yourself first, really. Which rolls nicely into number 9, and that is making sure you pay yourself first. So if you are investing or putting money into a pension, do those things before you do anything else. Before you start to calculate how much money you've got to spend that month, aside from your absolute bare essentials, so your rent and stuff like that, things that are non-negotiable, you need to pay yourself first, because otherwise it just never happens. Having the mindset that you will save whatever's left at the end of the month means you will have very little left at the end of the month. If you pay it all up front and it's saved and invested, then you spend what is left, and that is how you build wealth, but also control your spending a bit more. Have you got any others that you would like to add? If you have, drop them in the comments below. And if you like this sort of content, do like it and subscribe for more. And if there's any other videos, ideas you'd like me to record, drop them in the comments below as well. I'll see you in the next one.